but I ain't really give a fuck about it. Cause that's just what niggas do. Niggas drop diss songs and shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When there is concern that this could lead to even more violence, more shootings in Jacksonville, that's because that is where this rapper was from, and he did have a long-standing history.
We slip into this story the way we might creep through a long shadowed corridor at midnight, heartbeat in our ears, breath held for fear of what might lunge from the darkness. Word out of Florida's lockups is that Rashard Murphy and Sean Gaywright, the very men just branded as prime suspects in the gun spray that ended rapper Folio's 26-year ride around the sun, have themselves met an abrupt and grisly exit behind bars. The ink on their sentencing paperwork was barely dry when guards claimed to find them sprawled in separate cells, cold as the concrete, faces turned toward whatever secrets the ceiling might keep. No working cameras, no eyewitness chatter, no tidy medical notes. Two alleged triggermen silenced in the same week, the same prisons, under the same hush-hush circumstances? If that isn't a neon road flare calling us to dig deeper, what is?
So when I drop my shit, I guess people felt like I was wrong, but I'm like, how I'm wrong, bro? I'm just defending myself and my brothers and my dead brothers and my team, you know what I'm saying?
We can almost feel the collective gasp of every fan, every critic, every gossip hound rushing through social feeds like a hot wind. Did the long arm of official justice suddenly grow claws, reaching into the cages to exact a final verdict no jury could deliver? Or did rival street associates slip a message through the bars, a blood-red signature scrawled in the language of payback? The timing is too perfect, the method too eerie, and the silence from the Department of Corrections so deafening we can hear our own pulse throb while we wait for answers. These institutions love their surveillance toys. Yet, conveniently, the recorders were under maintenance in both wings that night. Maintenance or manipulation? We smell the disinfectant, but we also smell a cover-up baked in desperation. We hover over the official statements, nothing to see, routine tragedy, please disperse. But we remember the whispers that started the instant the closing gavel slammed. Tales of an unspoken understanding between certain stern-faced state agents and a community furious that Foolio's life ended in a hail of automotive park gunfire. Maybe, murmured the rumor mill, the system wanted the trials wrapped tight, the appeals stifled, the pesky possibility of overturned verdicts scrubbed from the docket forever, quicker, cleaner, cheaper, so long as nobody asked how two high-profile detainees could just stop breathing under 24-hour watch. Justice served or justice circumvented.
What is this? Something about Jacksonville, Florida, my own hometown. They just hate me, bro. I don't know why. I can't tell you why. I don't know why.
We picture the fluorescent hallways of those penitentiaries, the way the cameras blink red when powered, the way they wink black when someone pulls a plug. Guards trade shift gossip about late paychecks and faulty locks. Meanwhile, somewhere in a shadowed niche, a phone buzzes. Maybe the voice on the line speaks of a mother's broken heart hardening into vengeance. Folio's mother, they say, has connections threaded through Jacksonville's most fearless crew. She wept, then she planned. Then she reached for allies willing to carry out frontier penalties inside the very walls designed to prevent them. Is it simply grief-stricken legend, or did a bereaved parent arrange a chess move the state dared not attempt? We remind ourselves that Foolio was no stranger to feuds that spiral like barbed wire around an entire city. Rivalries branded KTA and ATK carved ruts in Jacksonville's pavement long before June 23rd, when bullets rattled the Holiday Inn parking lot and left 4 bodies bleeding beside shattered glass. Foolio had rapped about surviving multiple attempts, boasted of divine protection, teased his challengers on Instagram until the algorithm itself seemed to flinch, and yet the countdown ticked toward that early morning ambush. Away from the pool party, away from the after-hours clubs, straight toward a final trap sprung beside a hotel dumpster. Now, we watch a similarly ruthless clockwork grind inside the prison network. Tick-tick, 2 suspects gone, like the echo of that first catastrophe.
I don't know him. I never seen him before in my life.
In person?
Never seen him before.
Okay.
We lean closer to the rumors swirling through legal circles, federal teams quietly assembling, binders thick with phone pings, Cash App breadcrumbs, and late-night FaceTime chatter. The letters RICO hover in the margins, those sweeping statutes that treat an entire hierarchy as one snarling beast. Could the sudden disappearance of Murphy and Gaywright be less about vengeance and more about sealing a larger investigation? Loose ends trimmed, potential flip witnesses removed, dossiers protected from contamination by frightened confessions. When FBI technicians sift encrypted group chats, they prefer a tidy story, not the conflicting chronicles that living suspects tend to tell once the pressure cooker starts to whistle. We study the docket and see how fast this case traveled from arrest to sentence. Defense attorneys cried foul. Once again, there is no actual video or identifiable footage that shows Mr. Gathright was physically present. One lawyer protested in open court. Detective Juan Ramos answered with a single icy word: correct. That exchange, short as a razor flick, still rings in our ears as the downright spookiest quote in the file. If the footage never pinned Sean Gathright, then what exactly pinned Murphy and Gav Wright moments before they purportedly orchestrated Foolio's end? And if the evidence was thin enough to spark lawyer outrage, why would someone be frantic to wipe these two from the chessboard before an appeal could bloom? The contradictions stack higher than prison razor wire.
Okay, and when he said that he thinks that the beef will end sooner than later, it sounds like he wants to figure out a way to squash it.
We drift back to the cell blocks. Guards mutter about medical episodes, contraband, self-harm, but both men in separate institutions, both succumbing within 48 hours. We feel the chill of old conspiracy thrillers, only this time the victims are very real and the stakes are ink-stained across court transcripts. Inside sources talk about a notorious blind spot between cameras, a corridor where microphones never catch more than static. They talk about a guard roster reshuffled at the 11th hour, rookies posted to high-risk tiers with no clue which inmates should never be left unattended, accidents or arranged chaos. We pull up the obituary of prison time itself. Florida lockups have long grappled with secret beatdowns, contraband weapons, bribe-friendly officers. Everybody remembers the catastrophic headlines after a certain whistleblower leaked footage of inmates battered beyond recognition. Now the public wonders, did history just repeat itself, but with higher profile targets and bigger reasons to hush it up?
He got what he wanted. Like he got the fans. Like, you know what I'm saying? He got it. He went up. So now he got what he wanted. So now it's like,
we cannot ignore the sultry whisper of gang retaliation weaving through every social feed comment thread. Foolio's clique, fans insist, would never let his shooters rest easy. The rapper's lyrics were part threat, part prophecy, and now, poof. Prophecy fulfilled. We picture coded calls smuggled through commissary phones at 3 a.m, favors owed, debts called in, a fistful of prepaid numbers scribbled on toilet paper, one ring, a nod. An inmate steps from a cell, slides a sharpened toothbrush where it hurts most. Simpler than smuggling a handgun through metal detectors, yet just as final. We flash to Foolio's mother again, pacing her living room, candles burning, a hushed conversation with an old family friend who knows people. She watches the nightly news, sees her son painted as another statistic of rap's violent currents. Her tears dry, her voice steadies. If the courts won't stitch her shattered heart, maybe cell block justice will. Did she bankroll retribution, or did she simply pray? And did someone else pick up the torch, believing they were carrying out a grieving parent's silent wish?
At the end of the day, I feel like the losses outweigh the wins for everyone involved, because you can never bring...
Because you can't never beat the streets.
Yeah, you can't bring your brother back.
We slide toward the bigger chessboard. Federal subpoenas fanning across Jacksonville. Google accounts frozen, iClouds drained for data, car rental logs matched to license plate readers. Agents wearing plain polo shirts knock ever so politely on suburban doors, asking about late-night Zelle transfers and quick trips to Tampa. And we recall Tampa Police Chief Lee Burkhaw stepping up to a microphone, his voice calm but brimming with promise. I can guarantee we're going to be following up and making an arrest in that case. He wasn't talking about the prison incidents, he was talking about Foolio's slaying. But what if the same investigative fire now spreads sideways into the penitentiary secrets? What if each sudden cell block fatality is just another thread for FBI analysts to yank? We linger on the plight of Elisa Andrews, the expectant mother caught in the dragnet, belly rounding under fluorescent jailhouse lights. With Murphy and Guy Wright erased from the record books, pressure ratchets up on her and the remaining co-defendants. Testify or face a lifetime behind bars, where her child might learn its first words during a glass pane visit. We can almost hear prosecutors sliding a plea deal across the table, using the men's mysterious demises as both carrot and stick. Cooperate, they say, or risk joining the same obituary parade. But who does she fear more? The state or the unseen hands that silenced her co-defendants?
I told him that a couple times, you know. We be talking time to time, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you never know what could happen.
We level our gaze on the digital circus erupting ever since. Foolio's own Instagram account, hijacked or perhaps deliberately operated by a prankster with too much time, keeps posting eerie taunts. Talk of demigods, voodoo, resurrection. Meanwhile, rival rapper Youngeen Ace dances on a metaphorical grave, unleashing diss tracks like Game Over, daring ghosts to answer back. When Ace sneers, "You still messing with me, dude?" while dropping laughing emoji confetti, we feel the talk show audience gasp. If spirits truly walk, we wonder, are they strolling through penitentiary hallways right now, tapping at steel doors where more suspects sleep uneasy? We consider the masked man, who popped up online bragging he bagged Foolio for a $10,000 bounty. He points a finger at Ace's crew, claims the payout was real, shrugs off remorse like a cheap jacket. Police chalk it up to clout chasing, yet the video roiled fans, fueling conspiracy that the rap feud runs hotter than any official statement admits. Now, multiply that tension by 2. Murphy and Gay Rate no longer around to confirm or deny anything. Secret keepers removed, narratives free to spin unchecked.
Cause I wasn't really dropping on World Star then. Then I went to dropping on World Star for the first time, and like everything went to picking up, like my views, my following, and everything. Yeah.
We take a slow stroll through history's ledger of other behind bars coincidences. Gangland strategists often treat prisons as extension of the streets. People vanish in showers, people swallow bad contraband, people slip on polished floors and never wake up. But rarely do 2 high-profile defendants vanish in such quick succession after the same headline-grabbing verdict. The closer we look, the more the pattern screams orchestration rather than freak accident. We pivot to money trails. $10,000 is pocket change compared with the sums flashed across Jacksonville rap videos. Stacks brandished in front of rented Lamborghinis, high-gloss proof of success or provocation. But inside prison walls, a few $100s wired to the right cashier's kiosk can buy silence, can buy doors left ajar, can buy the absence of a hallway officer for precisely 5 minutes. Did someone funnel commissary credits through relatives? Did someone promise a girlfriend's rent would be paid in exchange for one decisive favor? These are the invisible transactions we may never see in court exhibits, yet they shape destinies as surely as any televised closing argument.
I ain't really like me and him was always mutual. Like, it wasn't no fuck you, and it wasn't like we cool, like we was mutual.
We walk the perimeter of Tampa's Holiday Inn one more time in our minds, remembering how hotel guests hid behind curtains while muzzle flashes danced outside. Foolio's final night was stitched together by surveillance clips. The after party at Truth 18, the Tesla dashcam capturing masked figures. Yet, Detective Ramos admitted the clearest footage never actually revealed Guy Wright at the scene. That admission now feels prophetic. Perhaps he truly wasn't there. Or perhaps someone wanted that doubt preserved so they could later wipe him out without sparking mass outrage. After all, a suspect whose face never appears on tape can vanish without leaving a visual ghost to haunt the public conscience. We visualize federal prosecutors debating strategy in a conference room, glowing with spreadsheets. If we let these 2 serve life terms, one suit argues, they'll start talking. They'll destabilize our RICO timeline. Another counters, eliminating witnesses jeopardizes due process. The room falls silent. Someone glances at a sealed envelope, a request for inmate transfer, quietly stamped denied. The next morning, breakfast trays roll down a corridor and 2 inmates fail to respond. Coincidence or Machiavellian calculus? We then shift focus to the community outside, where candlelight vigils mutate into block parties, into heated debates on podcasts. Is this the cycle we're trapped in? A wheel that spins from lyrical threats to real-world bloodshed, then back to viral content. We scroll comments, street code, state vendetta, eye for an eye. Everyone claims moral high ground while streaming the newest diss track on repeat. The system and the culture feed each other, each blaming the other, while fresh bodies stack faster than truth can keep pace.
That you've made lately, man, was your recent shootout you've been in.
Yeah.
I posted it on my Instagram and everybody went crazy for it, and
We watch Elisa reread texts from her own mother, who worries the baby will be born behind plexiglass. The case file hovers over her like a thundercloud. Murphy and Guy Wright are gone. That fact presses on her conscience like a weight. If she speaks, will she inherit their fate? If she keeps silent, will she watch her child learn to walk in a facility yard? That grim dilemma mirrors the larger questions stalking this story. What price will anyone pay to break the loop of violence versus vengeance? We return to the prisons, listening for echoes. Inmates whisper about lockdown pods, cell searches that find nothing except the lingering chill of something awful already achieved. Guards swap rumors of outside investigators swooping in. Some of those officers secure new jobs overnight at distant facilities. Lateral transfers or strategic relocations before a scandal detonates. Meanwhile, family members of Murphy and Gay Wright demand independent autopsies, only to receive polite delays. Bodies that might speak are sequestered behind bureaucratic doors.
One of the biggest reactions that I've seen is a lot of people thought you were lying.
Yeah.
We reflect on Foolio's last boastful Instagram clips, showing the venue lineup, the sparkling bottle service, the nerve-tingling brag that he'd outwitted every attempt on his life so far. Hours later, bullets contradicted him. Now, inside prison, 2 men who perhaps believed the gang feud couldn't touch them behind steel are also proven wrong. Somewhere outside, another suspect on the lam counts the odds and decides whether to surrender or vanish entirely. We can almost hear his suitcase zipping, while police scanners crackle with BOLO alerts. We realize the story has widened from a single rapper's tragic end to a meditation on how American justice and underground warfare interlock like rusted gears grinding people to powder. The penitentiary should be the one arena where violence pauses, testimony flows, and the truth, messy as it is, emerges in appeals or sworn statements. Instead, the walls have grown teeth, devouring narrative threads before they can tie anyone to a bigger conspiracy.
Today in Tampa, 4 suspects accused in the shooting of Jacksonville rapper Charles Jones, known by his stage name Foolio, faced a judge in court.
We sense journalists prepping exposés, civil rights lawyers drafting letters, protesters readying signs that warn transparency or tyranny. We wonder whether the state will release the incident reports unredacted or bury them under ongoing investigation labels until public interest fades. We know attention spans shrink. We know new scandals sprint to the forefront daily. The officials know this too. Delay is sometimes the sharpest tool in the cover-up toolkit. We peer into the near future. Maybe sealed indictments drop, naming high-ranking gang figures and a cluster of dirty correctional staff in the same breath. Maybe Foolio's mother sits before cameras, tears gleaming, speaking of closure that tastes bittersweet. Maybe a guard's conscience cracks, spilling secrets to an eager podcaster who turns the confession into subscription gold. Or maybe, most chilling of all, nothing further happens. 2 lives erased, case files closed, and we simply move on, leaving unanswered questions floating like cigarette smoke in a stale break room.
Sean Gathright, Alicia Andrew, Isaiah Chance, and Rashad Murphy have all entered not guilty pleas to charges of first-degree murder and conspiracy to commit murder.
We stop ourselves, feel the weight of all we've unraveled, and let the final surge of emotion crash against us. 2 alleged shooters felled in the very cages meant to hold them, their exits shrouded in hush orders and flickering corridor lights. A grieving mother rumored to wield underground strings. A federal dragnet tightening as the streets pulse with either fear or excitement at fresh retaliation. A pregnant co-defendant staring down a future few of us could stomach. And an entire system teetering between lawful order and raw, unsheathed vengeance, while fans binge diss tracks as though tragedy were just another playlist genre. Though we leave you with this: have we just witnessed justice correcting itself, or have we peeked into a darker mirror where the state and the streets collude in lethal harmony? Let us know where you stand, because every comment clicks another spotlight onto a truth still hiding in plain sight. Until our next deep dive, hold your loved ones close, keep your eyes sharp, and remember, out here, even steel doors can't keep certain secrets from slipping through the cracks.